Carl. The AI trade could use a lift right now, but Nvidia earnings next week are not exactly set up as an obvious bullish catalyst. The stocks had a solid year, up 3% more than the S&P 500, but trailing the chip trade by a lot. The options flows are not necessarily bearish. We do see more calls trading than puts today, but more calls are being sold than bought, and the stock fell after 6 of its last 8 earnings reports. Right now, traders are pricing in a 5.5% move, but the options market routinely overestimates Nvidia's reactions, with the stock moving an average 2.5% after earnings this past year. On the plus side, the most popular contract by volume that includes earnings is the 220 strike call expiring next Friday, where over half the premium is on the buy side. At $4.75, buying those calls is a bet the stock will rally 4.5% through next weekend. And one other thing, Nvidia options are in a pretty tight cluster, and if the stock drops into the low 200s too quickly, it could throw off market makers' balance, which would heighten the potential for a big downside move. So heads up, guys.
If there is one reason to be wary ahead of Nvidia's earnings release on August 26th, it is that the market expects the business to do well and CEO Jensen Huang to sound upbeat on the results call. The market also recognizes that Nvidia's expanding investment portfolio has low downside risk, given the rising values supplied to the bulk of privately held artificial intelligence businesses. Nvidia's stock has outperformed the S&P 500 by 5 percentage points in the last month, indicating that expectations for results are high. So it will be difficult to re-rate the Chip King stock, where an even better valuation could be unlocked due to increased investor interest. However, it is possible, according to HSBC analyst Frank Lee, who penned a new note on Friday. Nvidia's next significant re-rating will be driven by a new narrative, as profits and the product roadmap have become less relevant re-rating narratives, according to Lee. Lee contended that the company's new narrative could be intended to promote itself as the world's largest contributor to open-source AI. According to Nvidia, the aggregate of open-source models is now the second most popular category for token generation, Lee stated. This is crucial, as open-source small language models, SLMs, are becoming the preferred engine for agentic AI and on-device applications. A boost in small language models has significant earnings potential because it lowers the barrier to entry for enterprise inference, expanding Nvidia's total addressable market, TAM, beyond just a few frontier labs to millions of individual developers and sovereign nations, he said. Nvidia has taken various actions recently to potentially re-rate its stock. Earlier this month, Nvidia collaborated with financial powerhouses such as Apollo Global Management, BlackRock, Blackstone, Brookfield, Goldman Sachs, and KKR to launch separate compute financing platforms. The consortium intends to use $500 billion in private cash to build AI data centers and AI factories, transforming Nvidia hardware into an investable asset class for institutional investors. Huang swiftly followed up by agreeing to offer up to $105 billion in credit backing and residual value guarantees for SB Energy's 8-gigawatt Ports Technology campus in Pike County, Ohio. The large facility will be leased by OpenAI and run entirely on Nvidia AI infrastructure. The strategic intent is clear. Nvidia is committed to the transformational nature of AI and to securing every input, chip supply, land, power, and shell, particularly for disruptive, non-investment-grade customers like Frontier Labs and NeoClouds, according to Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya in an interview this week. Nvidia's stock has been on a wild ride since reaching an all-time high in mid-May. Concerns about an artificial intelligence bubble, competitive offers, and customer circular financing transactions have all thrown it off track since then. The Santa Clara, California-based corporation will have a chance to calm the waters with its fiscal second quarter report, which is due late Wednesday. Analysts predict the AI chipmaker to post its 4th consecutive quarter of rapid revenue growth. According to consensus expectations, Nvidia earned an adjusted $2.09 per share in fiscal Q2, up 99% year-on-year, on sales of $92.06 billion, a 97% increase. According to FactSet, Wall Street expects Nvidia to earn $2.36 per share in the upcoming quarter, an 82% increase, on revenues of $104.5 billion. Analysts predict that investors will pay close attention to the company's comments on the upcoming rollout of Vera Rubin, its next-generation AI computer system. Nvidia has recently made headlines by introducing new options for clients to fund data centers that use its chips and technology. This has prompted concerns about circular finance. On August 10th, Nvidia revealed that it had secured more than $500 billion in third-party funding to support the development of AI infrastructure. According to daily charts, Nvidia stock has formed a cut base ahead of the fiscal Q2 release, with a buy price of $236.54. That buy mark is also the stock's record high, set on May 14th. Nvidia's weekly chart shows a 13-week consolidation pattern. Today's morning stock market trading saw Nvidia stock fall about 1% to 214.74. Late Thursday, BMO Capital Markets analyst Harsh Kumar commenced coverage of Nvidia stock, rating it outperform and setting a price objective of $340. He ranked Nvidia as his number one large cap and overall semiconductor stock pick. According to Kumar, Nvidia is a leader in entire AI systems, which are underpinned by a completely integrated technological stack. Nvidia creates AI accelerators and entire full-rack AI systems for hyperscalers, cloud service providers. It is also a strong advocate of large language model (LLM) ecosystems, having made multiple significant investments in top AI businesses. He noted that demand remains strong, with much of Nvidia's capacity sold out for the next 12 months. We believe Nvidia has a robust financial profile, with healthy margins and cash flow creation. Nvidia competes in AI processors alongside advanced micro devices, Broadcom, and Marvell Technology, as well as upstarts such as Cerebra Systems. Joshua Buchalter, an analyst at TD Cowen, believes that Nvidia's positive report will have little impact on its shares. Earnings that should have been a good catalyst for the stock have not been in prior quarters, and we don't expect this trend to change, according to Buchalter in a study released Monday. We believe Nvidia will continue to beat/raise quarterly expectations, with good commentary and visibility expected to last until 2027, fueled by demand from an increasingly varied set of clients. Buchalter rates Nvidia stock as a buy, with a target price of $275. Rising component costs are anticipated to put pressure on Nvidia's gross profit margins, according to Gene Munster, managing partner at Deepwater Asset Management, in a client note issued on Friday. Munster expects a small decline in gross margins between the October and January quarters. They recorded 75% in July, and the street predicts it will fall to 74.8% in October and 74.7% in January. I expect it to be closer to 73-74%. Given investors' awareness of the component pricing environment, I would consider the fractional miss to be insignificant. The corporation aims to earn $91 billion in revenue this quarter. The consensus estimate is $91.8 billion, representing a 96.4% increase over the previous year's reported total. The consensus estimate for quarterly earnings has been raised by 2 cents in the last 60 days to $2.09. This represents a 99.1% increase over the same quarter last year's earnings of $1.05 per share. The graphics chipmaker's earnings outperformed the consensus estimate in the previous 4 quarters, resulting in an average surprise of 5.52%. Our established algorithm does not foresee Nvidia's earnings to exceed expectations this season. The combination of a positive earnings ESP and a rank number 1, strong buy, 2, buy, or 3, hold, increases the likelihood of an earnings beat. However, this is not the case here. Nvidia currently has an earnings ESP of 0.00%. Our earnings ESP filter will help you find the best stocks to buy or sell before they are reported. Nvidia's fiscal second quarter top line is expected to have benefited from the company's sustained success in the data center segment. The increased adoption of cloud-based solutions, combined with the expanding hybrid working trend, is expected to drive demand for its chips in the data center industry. An increase in hyperscale demand and expanding acceptance in the inference industry are expected to have worked as tailwinds in the next reported quarter. The data center industry should have profited from the increased demand for generative AI and huge language models powered by Nvidia Blackwell architecture GPUs. Strong demand for its chips from large cloud service and consumer internet companies is expected to have benefited the segment's top-line growth in the next reporting quarter. Nvidia is also expanding its presence beyond GPUs with networking solutions including InfiniBand, Spectrum-X Ethernet, and NVLink. This is likely to have allowed the corporation to capture a greater share of AI infrastructure spending in the fiscal second quarter. Nvidia's fiscal second quarter performance is also likely to have benefited from the sustained growth of its edge computing sector, which is driven by strong demand in the gaming, robotics, and automotive end markets. Nvidia shares have been extremely volatile over the last year. The stock has risen 21.9% in the last year, trailing the semiconductor, general industries advance of 27.3%. The company has also underperformed significant semiconductor firms like Intel, Advanced Micro Devices, and Broadcom, which have gained by 271.5%, 179.3%, and 24.2% respectively. Let's take a look at the current value that Nvidia provides to investors. Nvidia is selling at a discount, with a future 12-month price-to-earnings (PE) ratio of 19.69x versus the industry's 22.14x, indicating an appealing valuation. Nvidia trades at a lower multiple than Intel, Advanced Micro Devices, and Broadcom. Intel, Advanced Micro Devices, and Broadcom currently trade at forward PE ratios of 51.77x, 39.08x, and 20.60x, respectively. The firm remains the undisputed leader in AI infrastructure. Cloud providers, corporations, and governments continue to invest billions of dollars in AI data centers, with NVIDIA GPUs remaining the top choice for training and operating advanced AI models. The company's newest Blackwell and Vera Rubin AI platforms are gaining popularity among customers due to their higher performance and energy economy. Another significant advantage is NVIDIA's software ecosystem. CUDA, together with its expanding AI software line, raises switching costs for consumers, making it tough for competitors to gain market share. This competitive advantage goes far beyond hardware and should continue to drive long-term growth. As AI adoption grows from model training to large-scale inference and business deployment, NVIDIA is poised to gain at every stage of the AI investment cycle. As a semiconductor industry leader, NVIDIA has benefited from its GPU dominance and strategic growth into AI and data centers. The company's robust product range, leadership in AI, and constant innovation make it an appealing investment option. NVIDIA's lower valuation multiple than the industry shows that it is currently a solid investment opportunity.
Sort of hinting at. I mean, firstly, in our asset allocation, we have been steadfastly overweight equities, underweight government bonds, because we see this sort of sticky inflation, more volatile inflation, not getting down to the targets for most central banks, notably the Fed, who've missed for, 4 or 5 years now for their target. And that's a world, combined with these big deficits, that makes it maybe pretty precarious to be in government fixed income assets. So from that perspective, it is obviously, in our view, better to be in equities. However, having said that, of course, there comes a point, if we were to see, determined by both the scale and the pace of the sell-off in the bond market, that could cause a problem for equities, right? And certainly with the yields moving up at some point, of course, as you mentioned on the valuations, they start to become more attractive relative to yields that you would get from equities. So for now, very happy staying in equities, very happy to see equities outperforming bonds, but clearly there's a point where that could infect the equity trade, as it were.
Yeah, and just going back to the Besant put, kind of put, not really much of a put, sticking plaster.
Yeah.
He says it's from 2 to 4, and now has told CNBC in the last 24 hours it can be more than 4. Yeah. But the Treasury still plans to sell net $97 billion of long bonds, 20 to 30 year paper, in the August to October quarter. So you're buying back a little bit, but you're selling an awful lot at the same time. The market isn't stupid.
No. And you're spot on here, right? It's not the gross buying, right? It's what the net issuance is. And the net issuance, when you're servicing deficits that are, way over 6% of GDP, and as you pointed out, $40-odd trillion, that's a big deficit to service. That's a lot of debt you've got to issue. And playing around with the maturity of that, which of course is what we're talking about here, at the margin may have some effect on particular bond issues, right, in terms of liquidity, but it's not going to change that supply demand and this need week in, week out for investors to buy US debt.
But as Ben was pointing out earlier on, if you're going to be buying back more of the longer end, then you're going to have to pay for it by perhaps issuing more of the shorter end.
Bills. Yeah.
And if you're issuing at the shorter end and the interest rates are near zero, great. But if you're issuing at the shorter end and interest rates are still pretty high and people are asking a large premium for that short paper, it's not actually that much of a win-win trade.
It's not as effective, but maybe the idea is if you have the Fed keeping rates relatively low. I mean, obviously we're not at zero. That can anchor the shorter end of the curve. And thinking about the US, where a lot of the mortgage market, unlike here in the UK, right, we're all the long end, there's the 30-year mortgages that reset. So maybe it's the 10, 20, 30-year that's more important for things like housing markets. And so that can maybe be one way where they can kind of twist the curve a little bit from that perspective.
Let's just talk about this financing deal, because obviously a report at this stage, nothing that seems to have been confirmed, but it's not the first time we've heard of a tech company tapping the debt market. But how significant is this move?
No, I mean, it's just another potential deal in the latest flurry of moves that we've seen to fund this AI infrastructure build out. But again, as you mentioned, it's just reports right now. Bloomberg, the initial reporter of this, that Broadcom is in talks with a group of lenders that aims to raise more than $60 billion in debt here in a financing deal that will reportedly benefit Anthropic and other companies. The financing is reportedly still being finalized. It may also include a roughly $30 billion junior debt tranche. So under this proposed plan, Broadcom would allegedly guarantee a portion of the senior secured tranche, which could range from about $60 to $70 billion. Cumulatively, that would bring the total to as much as $100 billion for this particular deal. Blackstone and Apollo are reportedly in talks with Broadcom to participate in this chip financing, following a partnership that the three companies struck back in June to help finance computing infrastructure. So it wouldn't be the first time that they'd interacted in this way. The debt would also reportedly be issued by a special purpose vehicle, some of the people involved said in this reporting. The talks are ongoing. Of course, details can change here, and these are unconfirmed details at this point. The financing could also be rolled out incrementally rather than all at once, was another key point here. Spokespeople for both Broadcom and Anthropic have not commented, though they've declined to comment here, as did representatives for Apollo and for Blackstone. But Anthropic has been taking a bigger role in this build out. They're aiming to ensure that they have enough computing capacity. Broadcom, on the other hand, is looking to sell more chips and other equipment to try to rival Nvidia's dominance in the market. Now, this potential deal could help Anthropic access chips and other key AI infrastructure features, could also be similar to this $35 billion debt agreement that they kicked off the group's AI XPV partnership. That first deal, of course, Broadcom backstopped most of that debt, and investors, which include Apollo and Blackstone for that, financed the purchase of the custom AI chips, which were then leased to Anthropic. That enabled the senior debt tranches to win investment grade ratings at lower borrowing costs. So we could see a similar structure here. But again, this is just reporting right now, but would not be unlikely to see this one come to fruition, as we've already seen similar deals like